Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemeyer Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in a game called Tuki. It looks a little bit like this when it's on the table. In Tuki, it's a bit of it is a real-time game where players are competing to put their blocks together to form something that looks like this. These two images are not related, but you'll have a card in the middle of the table that looks like that, and you have to find a way to stack those blocks, and they're not individual cubes. They are blocks that are stuck together. They're 5 units long, 4 different colors. You need to stick them together to form that exact configuration. And as you can tell, with regular physics, that is not possible. That's why you are also given these white blocks. And so these white blocks let you form these outlandish stacking images. Well, that would be a lot easier if it was that way. They let you form those images with by using this white space. So when you look at it, when you're trying to match it up, and again, don't look at that other image. They don't relate to each other. You can see it in the background there, what I was going for. You don't look at the white blocks at all. You're just trying to get the colored blocks to align with the blocks on the card. And I thought this was really interesting. The idea of using a component that isn't really there when it matters. So you have these white blocks that you have a lot of creativity over where you place those white blocks. Like they are the determining factor in the game as to what you can make work and not work. And in this particular configuration, actually, sometimes you'll encounter a card where, or it's really a roll of the die, where none of your colored blocks can touch the ground. And that's why that yellow is off the ground there. I had to make sure it wasn't touching the ground. But just the idea that you have this component that even though it is physically, tangibly there, you don't look at it. You don't actually consider it in I guess the scoring of the game or whatever you're actually looking at in the game. In Tuki specifically, in terms of the configuration, the white blocks aren't really there. And I love that. I really, really love that concept in Tuki, that you have tangible components that don't matter when it comes to scoring or accuracy or winning. Even though they are crucially important to the game. And I was trying to think of other examples of this to get maybe your juices flowing, to get some examples going. And I thought of 2 other games. One is Pix, P-I-X. Pix is a game where you are using magnetic squares to get other players to guess what you've drawn with those magnetic squares. And in Pix, one of the ways that you can really win in Pix is to use the negative space to convey what you're trying to actually say, or what image you're trying to show to the other players. The other example that I thought of are cards in usually deck building games that just take up space in your deck. So that's actually a bad thing. In Tuki, this is a very good thing. Again, in Pix, it's a good thing. In deck building games, oftentimes you're having cards that just do nothing that take up negative space. And actually, that reminds me of another game, Fantasy Realms. In Fantasy Realms, there are cards that blank other cards. And when you have a card that blanks another card in Fantasy Realms, it basically says that card is pretty much empty except for the name on the card. Everything about the card is just not there. And so that's something you're trying to work around in Fantasy Realms. If you have a card that says blanks all beasts, then you might try to not have that card in hand, or not have beast in your hand, or have a card that blanks, that gets rid of that penalty. So yeah, that creates an interesting puzzle-solving element there, whereas in deck-building games, you're trying to get those cards out of your deck. You're trying to get rid of that blank space, those elements that just take up space and aren't really there helping you along the way. But yeah, if you have any other examples of that, of components in games that just kind of take up space, but maybe serve a crucial purpose in the game, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Or if you have a different favorite mechanism in Tuki, I'd love to hear about that as well. Thanks!